When I subscribe.
Welcome back. My name is Anusha. Justice and I are going to be reacting to 8 toxic things parents say to their children.
Right off the bat, I think parents probably tell their kids to like live feasible dreams, try to obtain feasible careers and feasible lifestyles. Probably the same thing that their parents told them. I know that's definitely going to be on here.
I think maybe one of the things that comes on here might be like my responsibility as a parent is to give you food, shelter, and
like I don't have to be your friend kind of and stuff like that.
There's a lot more that goes into parenting, and I think we as a society have collectively decided that having children is just a milestone that everyone goes through, but it is very much an active decision.
Well, without further ado, we're gonna get right into the video.
Here are 8 things toxic parents say that can affect a child's life.
That was a big
1.
point.
Offensive words towards their appearance. You're ugly, too fat, too short, or too skinny, or you have ugly hair.
Yes, harmful words obviously affects kids. I know, if we were to have kids, that I would joke with the kid, be like, boy, you don't get your... Help them understand and be emotionally intelligent enough to be like, okay, he's joking. I need to not take this serious. Or, he's serious. But obviously at a young age, they can't really tell the difference. So it's best to, not joke with kids like that.
I think one thing people don't understand is as you're a growing child, your body is supposed to change, right? Nobody's supposed to look 12 when they're 22, and nobody's supposed to look 5 when they're 15. So to some extent, body changes are normal, but when you have older people that you assume are more wiser than you making comments, and those comments are not consistent, somebody can say you look too big and too small, and you take that to heart, and then at the end of the day you have no idea what you look like, and you'll deal with that for the rest of your life.
That's a good point.
2. Provocative questions towards actions. Like, why do you act so weird? Why do you walk that way, chew that way, move or talk that way? Children tend to believe anything their parents say.
I think this goes back to the conversation we were having about the word fast. That's what I think about with this. So we as adults, because we know more than children about sexuality, we tend to overanalyze things and put a sort of sexual or promiscuous label on them. Like, why are you wearing red today? That's fast. Why are you hanging around with babies too much? That's fast. That's promiscuous. We tend to put these labels on children.
I think that's a good point. And I also think that if you are going to make statements like that, like, hey, why are you doing such and such? Why? Let's use the example you started with. Why are you acting fast? If you are not comfortable with explaining why or what that means, then you probably
or why
shouldn't.
It's considered fast, right?
Exactly. You shouldn't bring that up. If you don't think that they're old enough for you to explain that and have a conversation with them,
chances are they're not thinking that.
Yeah, they're not thinking that. Like, we pervert things because we're adults. We see everything in that light because we have experience and stuff like that. So if you can't explain it to them, it's probably not a thing to them, honestly. So just let it be.
3. Selfish wishes. I wish you were never born. I wish I had an abortion. I regret having you. I wish you were a different child.
I think it's fair to say that that's probably how some kids feel when, a parent like leaves or something.
4. Making the child feel like a burden. You cost me too much money. It's so hard to take care of you.
I think my parents did a good job in making sure I never knew that. And I think that was a good thing on their part because I was clueless. And I think only looking back as an adult, I kind of understand the things they hid a little bit from me. But I think as a child, I was clueless, and I think that was a very good thing on their part because I never felt like I was a burden.
Personally, I think that's just a sign of like a good parent. Like, we're struggling to pay the rent. Yeah, we're gonna have Christmas. You're gonna get that. Look, you gotta make it work. That's your kid. Again, they did not ask to be here. You brought them into this life. So you bear that responsibility.
5. Unhealthy comparisons. Why aren't you like your sibling, cousin, or the other kids? The other kids are better than you. This will reduce a child's self-esteem substantially and makes them think that they'll never be good enough, no matter how hard they try.
Ding, 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 ding. think this is the most common thing probably every Asian household goes through. I feel like the effects of this are that you're always led to believe that the bar is much higher than you. So to a certain extent, the bar will almost seem unattainable at some point, because you can keep trying and you can keep matching towards what other kids are achieving or what other family members are achieving, but it'll still not be enough. There will always be another person to be compared against.
That's a good point.
6. Verbally abusive words or statements. You're stupid, useless, you're a loser, or you'll never make it. Absolute remarks like this will damage the child's self-esteem. It's important that parents encourage their children into believing in themselves.
The thing is, it all points to emotional and mental growth with the kid. They continue to say, oh, if you say this with the kid, it's gonna, they're gonna carry this through, future relationships and when they get older. And honestly, you can see it in probably like in friends or family members when they get older, who may struggle with abandonment, body image issues and stuff like that. I'm not gonna say their parents are to blame, but their parents may have not given them the self-esteem or confidence that they need to be their own self or own individual and not take everyone else's opinions for themselves.
7. Threatening abandonment. I'll leave you. I'll put you aside. You'll wake up and never find me. I'll just disappear. This will cause a child to have abandonment issues.
And I don't think abandonment has to be outwardly saying, I'm going to leave you. If you do this, I'm going to put you in a home.
It can be in a
this.
certain area.
But I think it could be after you've given the child to express themselves and then you choose to leave. That can also be a demonstration of that without outwardly saying it, and then now your kid doesn't feel comfortable saying things to you out of fear of abandonment or acting a certain way out of fear of abandonment.
Me and you, we talk about the whole, if we were to be parents, hardest thing is to have a balance. And hey, I'm kind of like your friend, you can come to me and talk to me about certain things. It's kind of hard to balance that. And some people you see, oh, they're way too friendly with their kids. And some people you see, they're way too disconnected from their kids. Yeah. Like, oh, they're a helicopter parent. They have like no idea who their kid is because their kid doesn't tell them nothing. Because if they do, they feel like they'll blow up or they'll, disown them and walk away. And that's no better than being a friend with the kid. So again, everything is about balance.
And 8. Empty promises. If you do this, I'll buy you that. Or I'll take you there next time. But then they don't do it. Man. When a parent makes promises that they don't keep, it breaks the child's trust. It makes the child feel betrayed. Making fake promises is an excellent way to teach a child how not to trust others in life. Yeah. To conclude, even though words aren't physically harmful, they can be extremely harmful to the psyche and emotional well-being.
Hopefully you guys took something from this video.
I don't know if this would necessarily be considered abuse. Then you could go into the argument of whether abuse is intentional or not. Most of these things, I think, unseasoned parents do. I don't know. I think nowadays the whole like trauma word gets thrown around and the abuse word gets thrown around, and I think that'll probably take away from like true experiences of trauma or abuse. It almost is like cool to have trauma or tell me about your traumas, and I don't really like how that word is thrown around. I like that we're being more open to talking about our past, but I don't think every significant experience would be considered trauma, if that makes sense.
That's understandable. For me, I grew up with a lot of siblings. I feel like I would know how to raise a kid, but no one is perfect, honestly. So if we were to have a kid, obviously we would go through, raising that kid, and we would make a lot of mistakes. Right. Like I'm not stupid. We would make a lot of mistakes, and just because you don't have intent to do harm doesn't mean that you shouldn't be held accountable. Like once, okay, shame on me. Twice, okay, you need to get better as a parent because you're affecting your kid's life and ultimately other people's lives when they interact with your kid.
That's right.
So if you don't learn from those experiences, I think it's fair to say that it is intentional. Yeah. So put in the comments something that you guys have experienced that you can relate to in this video.
Thank you so much for watching. Featuring Justice's girlfriend. Thank you.
Subscribe.